everyone and welcome to Wednesday's maths lesson. Today we are going to be continuing to do something that we have looked at yesterday relating to time. Now yesterday we just looked at solving problems which involved calculating differences in time and things like that. But today we are actually going to be converting between different units of time as well. So for example, how many minutes are there in 6 days and things like that. Okay, it's not as straightforward as that though, it is in problems, but that's just an example. So that's our objective today. Before we get started, I just want to say that Blue Group, you are going to be off today completing your mystery, okay? Once you have done that, I know some of you have been sending it through as you've gone, and other children have emailed to say that they'll send it at the end of the completion. That's absolutely fine. If you could try and get that finished by the end of today, that would be lovely, because tomorrow you're then going to be back in sync with our normal maths learning, okay? So I've got a couple of problems for the rest of the children in red, orange, yellow and green groups that we're going to have a look at together before I then send you off to do your individual group activities. So yesterday, some children had some questions that involved, they were all related to sport and football, and it was all to do with converting between times. And if, for example, a football game starts at this time, can you tell me the time that it finishes? We're going to be continuing to do stuff like that today, but it just gets a little bit more challenging, okay? So I'll read the first one to you, and I'll give you a clue and say that in this first one, there are two things that you need to do. There are two questions that need answering, so just bear that in mind. And that's what you are going to do in your work as well. If it does start to confuse you and you don't know how to number it, then just put number 1. This one can be A, and then here, this one can be B, okay? So just have one A and one B in your books or on your paper. Okay. Harry Potter is 108 minutes long. How would you convert this to hours and minutes? That's the first question, okay? So how would you convert this to hours and minutes? So it's asking you to actually explain how you would do it. So have a think, how do we convert from minutes into hours? Well, we know that there's 60 minutes in an hour. So what we need to do is see, and this is how you would answer it. See how many 60s are in 108. And then that will give you your hours, as we know. And then see how many are left over. Okay, so I've explained how I would do that. Now I'm going to actually do it because it's going to help with this question. If the film starts at 15:25, what time does it finish? Okay, so let's see how many 60s are in 108. 60, 120. 120 has gone over it, so there's only one 60, so there is 1 hour. And then from 60 to 108, how many minutes have I got left? If you could just work that out from 60 to 108. Well done if you got 48 minutes left over. And that's because from 60 to 100 gives me 40. And then from 100 to 108 gives me an 8. And therefore I've got 48 in total. So that's answered number A. And then B, what time does it finish if it starts at this time? So I'm going to add an hour and I'm going to add 48 minutes, okay? If I add an hour to the 15, that changes that to 16, okay? So 16, and then I've got 25 minutes past the hour and I'm adding 48. So it's a simple addition. 25 add 40 gives me 65. And then add 8 gives me 73. So it would be 1673. But we know that there's only 60 minutes in an hour, so there's no such thing as 73, is there? So if I was to take 60 away from there and add that to my hours, that would change to 17. And because I've taken 60 away from here, 6 tens away from 7 tens leaves me 1 10. So it gives me the time 17:13, okay? Well done if you got that correct. If you have got a clock at home, then you might actually be able to look at it and recognise that 15:25, and then you would count around an hour and then count on 48 minutes, okay? And you should still then get this answer, all right? If we were in school, we'd get the clocks out, the little mini ones, the yellow ones that we use, and I'd get you to do it like that, okay? Unfortunately, we don't have that luxury at home, so this is how the best way you can do to solve it is by converting it to addition problems and things, okay? Just before you guys move on to do your activities, let's do one more example that you might come across today. So medicine needs to be taken once every 8 hours, okay? How long will 32 tablets last? All right, so if one tablet is taken every 8 hours, then it links back to ratio. Let me do the ratio here. So tablets, the ratio is tablets to hours, isn't it? Okay, and that dot dot, just make a bit smaller so we can fit it on, means 2. Okay, so one tablet to every 8 hours. All right, so now he's asking me how long 32 tablets are going to last. What have I done to the 1 to get 32? Yeah, we've done this yesterday when we look at ratio. We've done it when we look at proportion and fractions. It's just exactly the same, just apply it to time. So 1 to 32, I've multiplied it by 32. So I need to do that with my 8. 8 times 30, well 8 times 3 is 24, so 8 times 30 must be 240. 8 times 2 is 16, so 240 add 16 gives me 256 hours, okay? And that answers that. Now, some of you might have the challenge of saying, how many days and hours is this? So in that case, you need to know that 24 hours are in a day, so therefore, how many 24s are going to 256 and how many are left over? Some of you have got that, so that is where your conversion comes in, but some of you haven't, okay? So don't worry too much about it. If you get this and you leave it at that, and because you're struggling with the conversion, do you know what? That's the right answer, so it doesn't matter, okay? So give these questions a good go below. Because yesterday, yellow and green group had loads to do and they did a fab job of it. So let's fingers crossed and see if we can all do just as well as yellow and green group. Okay, well done everybody.